Hello, So You Think You Could Dance fans. I am Gold Derby Senior Editor Daniel Montgomery here with my fellow Senior Editor Susan Wloszczyna to talk about the most recent episode of So You Think You Can Dance, Top 6 Perform, which featured the top 6 performers competing for America's votes until at the end of the night. Only 4 remained, and the 2 eliminated, get right into it. The 2 eliminated were, probably not too surprisingly, Ezra Sosa and Madison Jordan, which leaves the top 4 going into the finals. Bailey Munoz, Gino Cosculluela, Sophie Pittman, and Mariah Russell. So first of all, Susan, what did you think of the elimination and who made the finals?
Well, I kind of realized it was going to be over for Madison pretty much because I think in some routines she has personality, like that, kind of Bob Fosse thing she did 2 weeks ago was perfect for her. But she's not as versatile. And the other thing is, and it's true, I don't often agree with Nigel Lithgow, but she's too much in her head. She has to think too much, and it's not translating into personality. So I think it was hard to connect with her at times. But I do think Disco kind of done them in because I looked at, the guy who was really good at doing it was Brandon Bryant, and he was a runner-up on season 3, I think. And he was, a contemporary dancer, and he just, anytime they need somebody all-star to do a disco routine, he's the one they go to. So, it's a lot to live up to because that guy was, the disco guy for a long time. But that swinging thing, I don't know. It just looks so awkward. And, Madison's kind of muscular. I mean, she's not fast.
She's not like one of the petite dancers, like swinging her around his neck. Ezra might still need surgery now.
I do think there's a lawsuit maybe pending. So. But, he was gay. I do think, though, I would have been okay if Ezra stayed and Gino went, just because there's something about him that I like the fact he danced with his sister. I like the fact he was there for Madison, even though, she left. And, he never gave up. And, I don't know about that routine where, he's thinking about a breakup. And I'm like, okay, enough of the crying, but that's what they love. And the thing is, with disco routine, you admire the energy and the fact they can do these things so freaking fast. But usually the judges go for the soppy mess routines that leave you drained and, just breaking your heart. So, I thought maybe that would have helped him. And with Gabby even, they were both great, but it wasn't enough. And they made up their mind. And it's interesting that they didn't say who was the bottom 2.
Yeah, I expected that going in, but then when they said at the beginning of the episode, the judges will still be able to say one of the bottom 2, I was like thinking, I didn't, because I figured getting this close to the end, they wouldn't reveal the bottom 2, because then you know who the top 2 are, and it might prejudice voting going into the finale. So I do like that they ultimately didn't. I do feel a little bit bad that they said, the 2 we're eliminating were the 2 who got the lowest votes, and we agree with America that you're the worst. That felt a little bit. If it were up to me, because not every season is gender balanced in terms of who's the best and who's the worst. Last season, last summer, there were 3 women in the finals and 1 man.
Right.
And I think those were the right 4 people for the most part. Maybe I might have swapped 1 or 2 out or something. But this year, I felt like it was the opposite way. Like I would have kept all 3 of those guys. And then Mariah from the girls.
Yeah.
I think Madison is incredibly talented, but like you said, she's not quite as versatile. And in terms of a certain personality of routine, she is very much in her head. She does feel like she's kind of in a shell, like this. She has this persona that she puts on that doesn't quite fit every routine. It fits the very emotional ones, and it fits the flirty, sexy bossy style ones.
Yeah.
But when it's just like really lighthearted, fun ones, it doesn't quite match her. And Sophie, I think Sophie's been really versatile throughout the season, but I just never felt like I've gotten a sense of her personality as a dancer. It feels like she's adaptable, but she has never stood out for me in that way where I'm just like, ooh, I can't wait for a Sophie Pittman performance like a Bailey or Mariah.
I can't remember one memorable thing she said when they ask her questions. I really don't know anything about her. Maybe that's me. Maybe I should have paid attention, but I didn't want to, and that's that. Nothing wrong with her. I mean, she is but she seems younger. Her personality doesn't shine. I mean, Gino, has like more than enough personality and then some, and, Bailey and Mariah and Ezra did too, but I don't get why they're so invested in her.
Yeah, I think Gino, the pairing with Gino, the judges have been like, oh, you're one of the couples to beat now. I never really felt that as much as the judges did, because I always feel like when Gino and her on stage together, like in terms of the charisma level and the excitement level and the energy level, I feel like he kind of overshadows her most of the time. Yeah. I actually think she was a much better fit with Eddie because they were so different from each other. And apart from that first African or jazz funk routine that didn't work, the next week when they performed a contemporary together, it was really great for both of them. And I think that was one of her most memorable moments because she was paired with someone different enough from her that I felt like their pairing made them both stand out in a way that made me miss Eddie. And I feel like Gino kind of overshadows her. He's bright, overwhelming personality. He's got this huge stage presence that I don't think she quite has, even though she's really, really good. Again, I feel bad criticizing any of these dancers who could do millions of things that I couldn't do to save my life, because it's just kind of, it's nitpicking at this point when it's down to the best of the best of the best of the best.
Right. Well, she does things whereby, in her solos, I'm like, never going to happen here. Never moved my body that way. So she was limber. I'll give her that. Yeah. But her personality, even less than Madison do I get. I don't, like I said, she might have talked a mile a minute in some, interview with Kat Deely, but I just don't know much about her. I know everything about Mariah and Bailey, Madison and Ezra, but not her.
Well, speaking of knowing everything or not knowing everything, I thought Ezra's performance, the duet with Gabby, I thought that was one of the best performances of the night. I don't always go in for the sobby, weepy ones, but when they're done well, they really work. And this time I thought it was done well, and I felt his emotional investment to it. I thought it was one of his best performances of the season, and he was one of the MVPs on Monday night, I think, in terms of just all the performances from that particular night. I was a little bit confused at parts, though. They made such a big deal at the beginning during his clip package of, I relate to this. I was in a relationship with a person who, and it felt like, he felt like there was a burden to it. And then after the dance, and he's talking to Kat Deely, he's really opening up. I feel really good, and to have revealed my truth. I absolutely thought he was going to come out of the closet on live TV.
Well, in some way,
that's not his truth, but everyone in their own time, if that were the case. But I thought he felt like he was talking around a personal truth that he didn't ultimately get around to actually revealing, which is fine. Not everyone has to on national television. Not everyone is Eddie Hoyt. But, so I do miss him. I would have loved to see more of him, especially after that. And the final performance, the Amen performance with the three.
Yeah, that was great too.
I thought that was outstanding.
I like the umbrella hat one too. I thought it was cool.
That was good. And actually, interestingly, I think Madison like came through there really well. That was sort of closer to the kind of sexy Fosse style that she's been really good at in the past. So I was really happy to see her in that mode. That was definitely her better. I think that was probably her best of the three performances that she had, other than her solo. Yeah,
but Ezra, I think his win is he now doesn't have to see a shrink about whatever this relationship is. It saved him some dollars.
or maybe now he's free to finally seek that,
relationship again. Who knows? Or go see a shrink. But no, I mean, of all the dancers, he would be the first one I didn't think would have such a, it wasn't dark, but it was just hanging over his little head. So hopefully now he danced it off and could go on with his life.
And I would, the great thing about So You Think You Can Dance is that, every season they bring back all-stars. And what's great about that is that you don't have to have won the show to be brought back as an all-star. They bring back people who were in the top 4 and the top 6, just memorable people who are really good at what they do. And they have them back again to dance or to choreograph or both. So I really love that. I would love to see Ezra come back in a future season. However long So You Think You Can Dance still has in the tank. Ballroom routines with someone.
How many? Well, Travis Wall was a contestant, and how many have gone on to do choreography?
Travis Wall, Robert Roldan has done all-star kind of dancing and choreographing. Choreographing more in the last couple of seasons. I think that's relatively recent for him. There was another one last night who I forgot, I'm going to look up their name now. It might have been a first-time choreographer for the show, but it was a past contestant. There's Pasha Kovalev, who did the Sophie Pittman and Kiki duet on the samba. It does happen occasionally, and I love for it to happen more and more because it's a lot of fun to get to see these people come back into stay in the family because they are good at what they do. No one who gets this far is not good at what they do. So I would love to see them come back.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting this coming week because what do they do when it's couples, so
it's two. There are 2 couples left, 2 intact couples, never been in the bottom. Gino and Sophie, and Mariah and Bailey. I think what they did last season was that they paired them off differently. So everyone would have 3 different duets, but they would all dance with one of their other final
girls. Yeah. So the 2 girls would do it, the 2 boys do it, and then they switch off and.
So that's what they did last season. Then I assume, because it's a 2-hour show and you've got 4 contestants, there'll probably be more all-star performances and or group routines. So they'll find any number of configurations for them. And then in the finale the week after, that's probably when we'll see some of the other contestants from the season come back, which will be nice.
Yeah. But so how would you rate the season?
I would rate the season, it's been up and down in terms of my excitement level about the dances. I think last season was really it had hit after hit after hit. You had the It Takes a Lot to Know a Man, the Travis Wall routine for Darius Hickman. I feel like last season was a lot more stacked in terms of the contestants than this season has been. But this season, I feel like the top, Bailey and Mariah are just rock stars under any circumstance. I think they would have made it through any season.
Yeah. Well, Mariah, when she first auditioned, wasn't like that. Well, then they made her, they burdened her telling her, story about her father in prison. That's all you could think about for the rest of the show. But she was very graceful, and now they funked her up. You know, they keep giving her, you know, putting her in leather and a motorcycle. It's like, oh, she's the bad girl now. So, let's hope she, you know, redeems herself, you know, and doesn't go all the way and run off.
Well,
she's joining a gang of bikers.
She'd be the coolest biker gang. Like, if they want to do a Sons of Anarchy spinoff with Mariah, I am there for it. But she actually kind of reminds me of Gabby in that sense, where she is this graceful dancer. Gabby was a tap dancer, and Mariah is a contemporary dancer. And then we see them in this completely different light under these other routines that show just, wow, I didn't know you had that in you. And Mariah's been like that almost every week, which is probably why she's been the front runner at Gold Derby in our odds. We poll our readers every week about who they think will win and who they think will be eliminated, and Mariah has been in the lead of our winner predictions for a while. I'm not sure if she is now after the Final Four have been announced, but I now think Bailey has the edge, and he would be my personal choice to win. What about you? Who do you think will, and who do you think should?
Well, I want Bailey to win, and I actually even voted in the poll, so there you go. But I like Mariah, but this week she showed a few little, you know, weak spots, I think. And with the hat, which fiction saved her. And yeah,
and it was a weird magic routine where she also had these like props that were just not comfortable. That I don't hold that against her necessarily, but yeah, that wasn't her best moment on the show.
Right. And in that first, she was the one dancing with Mambo Italiano, the later one with Bailey.
That was Bailey with
Kanye.
All Star.
Yeah. Well, he did that so good, and I just said he's got to win, because anyone who could do that and do all his spinning and whatever you do, you're a b-boy. I just said he just loves dancing. I mean, he'll do anything, you know. Yeah. And I thought he was pretty good. I mean, he can't lift up girls so much, but other than that, he's fine.
I think Bailey. I've been on Team Bailey for a while personally, just thinking he should win. And I've been predicting him, but I wasn't quite sure because I know Mariah's gotten a lot of support in our predictions. But after this week, I feel more confident that Bailey can win, because I feel like, as you mentioned about this week's performances, he showed that he is better without her than she is without him. And it might just be, the luck of the draw. She had that hip hop routine with the hat and the, magic tricks, and wasn't necessarily the best fit for her. But I do feel like he's a star either way, and she, is a star, but is helped so much by the pairing with Bailey. So, but right now I think they're 1 and 2 for me. But what's interesting is that in our poll after the episode, when the Final Four were revealed, I posted a poll in the recap that I wrote, asking viewers or asking readers who they think should win the show. And Bailey has, at the moment, an overwhelming lead with 56%. Second place is actually Gino with 22%, and Mariah has 15%. And that makes me think, it reminds me of last year. I did the same poll of the Final Four, and I asked readers who they thought should win, and they said Hannah Leigh, but Jensen had the best odds according to our prediction. So people were predicting Jensen, but they wanted Hannah Leigh to win, and Hannah Leigh ended up winning. So this year I'm thinking, okay, this vote may be telling me that Mariah looks really good on paper, but when the rubber meets the road, maybe it's Bailey that audiences are more behind.
Don't you think the judges? The judges, yeah. Well, they're both good, but he did better this week, and to do it when it counts, that's what you have to do. But I do think the judges are a little more pro Mariah.
I do too. I think. They have been. I can't remember which judge it was who criticized her a little bit for the magic hat routine. That's just what I'm going to call it now, the magic hat routine. And I was like, I watched that routine thinking, this is good, but it's not, I wasn't like out of my seat excited for it.
Weren't you watching fiction more than
Kind of. I mean, I tend to watch the dancer who, like, I'm supposed to be watching.
It's your duty. Yeah.
And so my eye just gravitates to the contestant being judged more than the all-star. When she and Bailey are together, though, it does go back and forth which one I'm looking at more during a particular routine. During the hip-hop routine a couple of weeks ago, I'd say Mariah had my full attention there. This week, I was a little bit more, drawn to Bailey's performance, as Dom called it, Filipino Magic Mike, which was just fantastic.
It's so cute they put him in letter. Now, see, with her, it's like, okay. But with him, it's like, it's cute. He can't be, I mean, he tried, and it didn't seem phony. It just seemed fun.
Oh, no, it worked. Yeah,
to see him like that. So, so I guess, save for Sophie, I shouldn't be picking her. The young girl doesn't need that, but
they're all young. Madison was the oldest contestant
21.
In the top 10, and she was only 21. She was the only one in her 20s, so everyone else is.
But she felt older, and that could be
she's
part
more
of
sophisticated. She has it feels like she's kind of an old soul.
Yeah. And that didn't lift her spirits on stage as much as it should, I think. But no, I mean, it wasn't bad. It just, the only thing, routine I think I really disliked the most was that Eddie Hoyt one with Sophie. And I don't even know what jazz funk is, so I don't think they did either. I mean, it's so unfortunate. I wish that they had done 2-hour shows earlier so that, before America Judges, they would have had maybe 2 routines to be able to see Eddie during the live shows. Because it was just one and done for him. Like, even though he had that really great routine in the second week, the votes were already in and the judges weren't going to save him. So it felt like, and then after, then it's the 2-hour shows when we get to see a lot more of each dancer, and I would have liked that for Eddie, because I think he might have had a little bit more of a chance if it wasn't just like, do or die on that one jazz funk routine with the safety vests. Whatever it was, day glow nightmare. But I do think, though, the first live show, they squished so many routines in. It sort of kind of takes away from it. And if they dropped one thing and just made 4 routines instead of 5, I would have enjoyed the show. But it's like, just when you're focusing and it ends, and that stupid music plays.
What I might have done in that first week is maybe drop 1 or 2 of the group numbers, or maybe just do like the opening group numbers and no, like final group numbers. Because what I would have loved to see also is, because in that first episode we didn't get to see them do solos, so we didn't see them do what they're good at, and it would have also been great to see Eddie get to actually do a tap routine during live shows, which he never got a chance to do.
Yeah. Well, he's got a job and he's teaching dance, so he's happy, so it's good.
And what's great is that even though he didn't make it very far in the live shows, 1, he's going on the tour, so that's great for him. He'll have that exposure. 2, he made it far enough that, and tap is a rare enough discipline on the show that, honestly, if they have a tapper in the future, he could come back as an all-star. That would be cool, like him and poor Evan DiBenedetto from last year, and Gabby Diaz. They could all come do a group number with whoever a tap dancer comes in a later season. That would be great. So yeah, it's like I'm super happy for everyone in that top 10, and it's so truncated, these last live shows, that. We only get a few weeks of them once we've gotten to know them. So I am looking forward to having 2 more weeks with this cast.
Well, when we either do next week or the week after, we should also talk about the judges, because You know, Vanessa Hudgens is a very talented woman, but I don't think critiquing is her strong suit.
Yeah, that's why. It's
like everything she said was, you know, I'll have what he's having. Like it just repeating whoever was next to her. So
that's why I'm glad they changed that up this season with Lorianne and Dietrich. I think they've been really good in terms of both having the expertise. You know, Dietrich being a past contestant on the show, Lorianne Gibson being an experienced choreographer. So I feel like you know they've been better for the dynamic of that judges table. Like it feels like there's a little bit more gravitas and expertise there. And experience.
And they're not afraid to criticize, but not in the mean way.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to stand up to Nigel or Big Mouth over the other end. Yes, and poor Nigel was left out of this sequin, wardrobe notice.
Both of them were too. Like they had I think Kat, Lorianne, and Mary Murphy were all doing like the bright sequins. And
does Dominic wear the same thing every week? I'm thinking he does.
I haven't noticed. Like he's not as showy with the clothes as
you're right. No.
Yeah, and he's between the two women who are always more extravagant. So
yeah. But no, it was a more pleasant experience because who was the singer they had? Never
Jason
said it.
Derulo.
Yeah, I didn't get him. Does he dance? I don't even know.
Well, I think he's the type of recording artist who is like a singer and dancer. Like his songs and videos are all like dance driven. He's in the new Cats movie, so I'm sure he's dancing in that. It reminds me of Neo on World of Dance. Similar, like he's primarily a recording artist, but he dances in all of his performances and videos. So.
This might be the best judging panel they've had. So it's not saying that much, but I respected all their opinions, even when it's the grading or whatever. So.
Well, with that, thank you, Susan, for joining me, and thank you to everyone out there for watching and or listening to us talk about this week's episode. We will be back next week to talk about the top 4 perform, after which America will vote for the winners. The votes from Monday night and next Monday night will be combined to decide who is America's favorite dancer. And of course, you can go to goldderby.com right now and not only predict who will win, but you can predict every ranking, who will finish second, who will finish third, and who will finish fourth. And so you can compete for glory in our prediction center. So once again, thank you, and we will see you then.